What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Let's Taco Bout It. My name is Blaze, and every Taco Tuesday, I'll be bringing up some topics of discussion for us to, hash out in the comments below. Today's topic, if you saw the cover that I used for this video, you'll know what it's about. But to set things up a little bit, I am a huge Nintendo fan, and I think that's very evident in the content that I produce and the games that I play. Whether it's on Twitch or on YouTube or wherever that is. But I'm also a fan of other stuff too. And one of the things I'm a big fan of is comic books and comic book movies especially. Although I do enjoy the comic books as well. The comic book movies have been just cool the last decade or so that they've been coming out. So I've really enjoyed watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe unfold. I'm also a fan of arcade games, and I'll probably cover arcade and fighting games in the future, kind of sporadically off and on. But today, the big news for me that I really want to talk about is Captain Marvel and the newest edition of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starring Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. So I want to talk about this movie because it's a movie that I've been kind of anticipating for a while, hoping that it was going to be really good and kind of bring us into the Avengers Endgame era of movies, which is very soon. In fact, I think it's in May, and right now it's March. So I think that I was anticipating this movie for a while, and it finally came out, and I have seen it, and I have to say with 100%, I love this movie. Like, it's so good. I didn't really know what to expect going in or what I thought could happen, but I just have to say, this movie, it honestly blew me away. It was more emotional than I thought it was going to be, and if you've seen it, you'll probably know why. But I want to spend time talking about it in a vague sense right now to kind of give you an idea of what I thought about the movie. We'll talk about spoilers, and we'll talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe as it is in just a few minutes, but I will warn you before I talk about specifics of the movie. So if you want to stop the video and come back later, you certainly can. You don't have to now, but I will let you know before we get into spoilers. So one thing I liked about this movie is the casting. I thought the casting was really well done. Brie Larson did a great job as Carol Danvers. I liked her her attitude. I liked the attitude that she portrayed during this movie. I thought that she was very strong. She was very independent, which was great. And I really liked the way that she carried herself as Captain Marvel, as Carol Danvers. And I thought she did a wonderful job of bringing this character to life. And, and the outfit's awesome too. Like the suit that they used for Captain Marvel, honestly, I love it. I think it's really cool. You get to see, why it's green and why it's red throughout the movie as it unfolds, but whether it's a different suit or not, you get to kind of understand that as far as the middle of the movie. I think they explain that, but it's just honestly is really cool. So I liked her portrayal of Carol Danvers. I also liked, of course, Samuel L. Jackson is in the role that he was kind of born to play, Nick Fury. Getting anybody else in that role when the Avengers films were unfolding would have been a huge mistake. And, Samuel L. Jackson's just cool enough to do something like that. So, he, of course, his portrayal was spot on. I know there was CGI or whatever, but I really didn't notice or pay attention to it. So I thought that it was fine. He was very cool to see in a behind the desk reporting to somebody role, so I thought that was an interesting spin on that character, and you get to see that in the movie. I also liked Jude Law, and I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm gonna say it anyway, but Jude Law played Jan Rog, and I thought he did a wonderful job of portraying that mentor leader character, which I thought he pulled off very well, and he was responsible for helping to train Carol Danvers throughout the movie, so I thought that was cool. Another character I liked a lot was that didn't really get a whole lot of screen time, unfortunately, but I really liked I have to find her name. Minerva. Minerva was a great character that I really wish had more screen time in this movie, and of course I'll explain, what happened and why I was bummed about it, or maybe I wasn't bummed. Who knows? But that'll come up later. So anyway, I honestly like this movie a lot. It's set in the 90s, which was the perfect time frame for the movie. I thought it was great to see all of the 90s nostalgia come back. I mean, of course, they talked about she lands in Blockbuster Video in the trailer, so I mean, you don't see Blockbuster Video anymore, so that's cool. They comment on Radio Shack and payphones and all these things that you just don't see anymore because technology has taken over. It was very cool to see just this new story taking place before Iron Man, the first Iron Man, and then kind of getting to see this era and this different time to live in and all that. So I really liked the era, and the music was great. The music, honestly, like when it comes to movies, I'm a sucker for good music and a good soundtrack. And my top two favorite Marvel movies are Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 because of the soundtrack that they used, which was awesome. And this movie did not disappoint in that regard. I thought that the soundtrack was awesome. I loved it. And that actually, it catapulted this movie to my third favorite Marvel movie, just easily. And there were some other reasons why I selected it as the third favorite Marvel movie as well. But for the most part, I really loved, the story was perfect. I thought the story, I mean, of course, every story has its flaws, and I could dig into the flaws if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that because I really enjoyed my time watching this movie, and it got me choked up on a few different occasions. So, I mean, the excitement was high, the adrenaline was pumping, and I was ready. I'm ready for Endgame now after watching this movie. But yeah, this is my third favorite Marvel movie, followed closely by Black Panther, and honestly, like Black Panther wasn't really because of the soundtrack or anything. It was more because of the characters that were in the movie. I thought the characters were really unique and well portrayed. The style, the art style of the movie, and the graffiti that you see throughout the film was cool too. So that's why it's my fourth pick. And I don't really have a fifth pick right now, but I do have a top four, and Captain Marvel is surprisingly in the top three. If you'd asked me 2 weeks ago, I probably would have said I don't have a top three, I have a top two. But thinking it through, that's my top four. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments, because the comments are probably going to be filled with spoilers. Just to let you guys know, if you, and that's okay. But if you're watching this video, do not look at the comments. There's going to be spoilers everywhere, and I can't really control that. So, if you haven't seen the movie yet, and you want to go see it and then come back to this video, that's totally fine. Just kind of avoid those comments if you can. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well, because I think that we're in this like really unique place where over the last 10, 15 years, we've been building up these storylines from Iron Man, Thor, from Captain America, Hulk. I mean, all these different stories were unfolding as time has gone on, and we're literally in a place now where it's just really cool to be a Marvel fan. I never would have thought that we'd be where we are. I never pictured it. Like when Iron Man 1 first came out, I never would have thought that we'd be where we are now. Having gone through one Avengers movie, and when Avengers was first announced, I thought that's going to be dumb. Avengers is dumb. Because I'm one of those people who really enjoyed the characters when they were their own characters in their own universe. And if Iron Man existed, his presence was taken away by the fact that Thor was also there. In my mind, that's how it worked. But bringing all these characters together was flawlessly executed. And I thought, as we progressed through these different movies and these different phases of Marvel movies, I thought, wow, we've just done such a great job. Capturing these characters and capturing these memories and making these memories, and looking back, it's like we're like 10, 15 years in, and I think 10 years now maybe, and it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful time to be a Marvel fan, and I hope you guys feel the same way, because I honestly I've thought about this for a while, and it hit me all at once now for reasons I'll explain later, but it hit me all at once to think, wow, we spent this time building everything up, and there's a payoff. And as time continues to go on, there's going to continue to be another payoff. So I'm just really excited that we are where we are. And I kind of wish that we'd done something like that with the DC movies, but it just seems like they're trying to rush those movies out too quickly, and that's kind of why we are where we are with those movies. And I want them to reboot all of it, except for maybe Wonder Woman, but there's no way to get Wonder Woman to switch universes. So if they reboot the whole thing, they have to reboot Wonder Woman too, and I don't really want that. But that's beyond the point. That's for a whole different video. If you guys want me to talk more about DC, post it in the comments below, and I'll be happy to. If you have any other discussions you'd like me to talk about, anything at all, put it in the comments, and I'll definitely make a video of it for Taco Tuesday for next week or the week after, whatever the schedule shows. But I do want to talk about some spoilers. So we're about 10 minutes into the video, and I really want to talk about specifics of the movie. So I'm going to give you guys about 10 seconds to leave the video if you haven't seen it yet. I'm going to keep talking for those 10 seconds. So just if you want to be spoiled, I've warned you. It's coming up soon. If you don't want to be, then now's your chance to leave. Come back and pick up right here where you left off, 11 minutes and 30 seconds into the video, and I promise you, you'll get all the spoilerific discussion that you could ever want. Also, avoid the comments if you've not seen the movie. There will be spoilers there, but we're going to do spoilers right now. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you don't have to watch. It's your choice. So I want to talk specifics here because I went into this movie without really thinking anything about Captain Marvel. I thought I read up a little bit about her to kind of figure out what kind of powers she had and things like that, but I really didn't know what to expect. And there was a couple things that I think looking up had spoiled, which I'll cover in a minute. But the previews went through as I'm watching this movie. The previews for Spider-Man and Shazam and a few other movies that of course they're going to have previews for because they're all comic book movies. And there's one more too. I can't remember what it is, but there's one more movie that is definitely, I think that they previewed, but I'm definitely gonna see. It's another comic book movie. I can't remember what it is, but it's coming up soon. It's not Endgame, but there's one more. But either way, after the previews ended, the movie started, and without a doubt, part of the reason I was so choked up is the Marvel logo came onto the screen, and it's usually just the Marvel logo with Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and all these different things, videos playing in the background, and it's always just oh, okay, it's the Marvel logo, whatever. And this being the first Marvel movie after the death of Stan Lee, they chose to do something a little different with the logo, and it blew me away. I nearly about cried in that theater, and I feel like it's it's kind of not manly or whatever to say that, and I really don't care because you know what, Stan Lee brought us so much entertainment value over the course of his lifetime, and he's one of the coolest people out there. He was one of the coolest people out there. He was such a well-known figure, and he loved the fans. He loved his work. When he started doing it, he was just writing these silly stories and putting them out as comics, and he was enjoying every minute of it. I don't think he ever thought that it would get to this point where he's inspired billions of people around the world, and his death was unexpected, but I can't say enough nice things about him. He really did care about the fans, and it was so cool to see him in all of the Marvel movies and this one. He was in this one, which was great to see. But they did something different with the logo where they just showed clips of him. And even just thinking about it now, it's crazy. Just showing clips of him interacting with fans, being in the movies, playing all these different characters and roles that he played. It was so cool to see him, to see all these clips. And at the end of the logo, a thank you message, thank you, Stan. That was so cool, And I'm just really excited they did that. It was really neat. So, right from the get go, right there, just shot me right through the heart. And I'm really glad they did that. I'm really glad they took time to to make it different. So you can tell I'm getting choked up now because it's just such a cool thing, and I knew I would, because I mean I didn't expect that. So anyway, so the movie comes through, opens up on what is that planet? The Kree planet. I can't remember the name, but it's the Kree planet where Ronan the Destroyer lives. We are introduced to Carol Danvers. We're introduced to her mentor, which I can't remember his name again. I have to look it up again. It's what is it? Jan Rog and a few of the compatriots, Minerva, and a few other people that were on the team. I have to say I liked the story. I liked how it opened up. I liked one of the things this movie did. I'm going to cut away from the characters and progressing through the actual story because it's going to take too much time. One of the things I liked about the story was it did kind of what Black Panther did, but it executed it a little bit differently. So Black Panther had the main, like the villain that we thought was the bad guy, and then the other guy that was helping him out. And it kind of flipped everything once the villain was captured. The guy that was helping out kind of became the villain because that was his plan the whole time. Spoilers for Black Panther, by the way. My bad. But we do find out that the bad guy that Carol's trying to track down is not necessarily the bad guy. It's a difference of perspective and what's right and wrong, and who's on the wrong side of the war. Basically, we find out that the Kree are tracking down the Skrull and basically committing genocide and killing all of them. Whether it's because of hatred or race or whatever, we find that they're doing this for what seems like no reason. Maybe to prevent them from infiltrating and taking over. I guess some of the soldiers, including Carol Danvers, were maybe brainwashed into thinking that they were a threat to the civilization, and really they just wanted a home. They just wanted someplace to live. So I loved that story. I loved the idea that these guys were painted as the bad guy, and as we continue to chase them down, we realize that, hey, these are not the bad guy. These are not the guys that we should be worried about. In fact, Ronan the Destroyer is the one that we really should be worried about. Of course, he gets taken care of in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, in epic fashion, by the way. But it was kind of cool to see that character again, even as a younger version. I just think that the only issue that I have with the movie, and it comes from this kind of plot line, is I don't think that Captain Marvel ever killed any of the Skrulls, but she beat him up pretty bad. I want to say that because of her, a couple of them are dead. So that's probably and I can't remember specifics on that. So if I'm wrong, it's fine. But I do remember a couple of them died, and I want to say that it was, she didn't do it, but I think it was as a result of her actions. So, and if you know the specifics, you feel free to post it in the comments and remind me, refresh my memory. But she definitely had some interactions, some engagements with the Skrull, and then after they realize, hey, we're on your side, we're the good guys here, we're just trying to find a home. They just kind of let all that go. But she was the one that's going to help them, and I think that she inevitably did, so that's cool. That's the only complaint I had, is that they just kind of let everything go. But aside from that, like, this story was awesome, and the thing that I loved the most about this movie, and it is the first time that Marvel has done any kind of female lead with a comic book movie, but the thing I loved the most, and politics aside, it's going to get a little political, I guess. This movie was about a woman that is strong, takes care of herself, she's independent. And the writers didn't force this love story on her. There's no like leading man, there's no romantic interest, there's no will they won't they. It's her story, and it's her being independent. It's her showing the world that you don't have to have a man in your life to be successful. And she carries herself that way throughout the whole movie. She's not looking for someone. She's not angsty over someone. She's doing what she thinks is right and being independent about it. And I love that. I absolutely love that about this movie. And it's exactly what I wanted to have happen in Wonder Woman, but it didn't. And that is a bummer, because I know a lot of girls look up to Wonder Woman. I know a lot of girls they're gonna look up to Captain Marvel now, and that's awesome. They should. And I'm not saying that a girl shouldn't want to date someone or want to be with someone or anything like that. What I'm saying is that we shouldn't set the expectation of like, this is the only option, that, every, female superhero movie is going to have a love interest. They don't have to. And I think that it's better in this case that she didn't. And I love that about this movie. They set this character up to succeed without a man's help. And that was cool. Now, Samuel L. Jackson was there, sure, and he did help out a little bit, but he wasn't the driving force of that duo, and I think that was so cool. So their relationship was cool. They became friendly and they became friends, which was awesome. Her discovering her powers was an amazing moment where she just goes nuts. Like, I mean, when she finally figures out that she's in full control of her powers and she destroys that little chip on the back of her neck, and she gets her full powers, and in the trailer you see her like standing there with her hair like all blasted up in the air, and she's like, you don't notice it in the trailer, but she's holding a Happy Days lunchbox, and it's so funny looking back on it. She's ready to kick some butt, but she has this lunchbox in her hand, and I mean, she literally, like, she goes off on those guys, and it's so cool to see that happen. Minerva was there. They had kind of a one-on-one spout, which was kind of humorous. But man, it was just such a good moment. And I have to say, I'm coming back to the music for a second, because at the end of the movie, when she had that epic fight scene, when she finally figured out her powers, and I got choked up again. I'm still choked up just thinking about it. Like, she finally got her powers and she was ready to kick some butt. And then No Doubt with I'm Just a Girl comes on, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the perfect song for the perfect moment in this movie. And then she starts just beating him up, and it was just so funny. I mean, they didn't stand a chance, and it was, it was awesome. So those are the things I really loved about the movie. The three things: the soundtrack, the opening with Marvel and Stan Lee, and then the Gwen Stefani beat 'em up. I'll even put a fourth in there. I'll say the credits music was awesome too. With, I think, was it Paramore? I think sang that song. I mean, super good music selections. It's all based in the '90s. It was so much fun to watch, and I loved every second of it. So, and then of course we're set up for Endgame, which is going to be in May. Super stoked about Endgame. Super stoked about the next Marvel movies. Spider-Man Far From Home is going to be awesome as well. So coming out of the movie, I was hyped. I'm so hyped that we got to see, just, and I'm going to say it. I don't cuss a lot on my stream, but I'm going to straight up say it. We got to see a kick-ass superhero that's a female, basically run the show. So, the end credits, the scene where she comes back and asks where Fury is, perfect setup. Can't wait. I mean, I'm a little concerned about how she got into the facility in the first place. That's beyond the point. She gets there, the pager's done doing what it's doing. She gets there and she's like, where's Fury? And now she has to be briefed on what happened. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next. I'm not 100% sure on how she got her... I mean, I know how she got her powers, but I think the method of that was a little... I think it might have differed from the way it happened in the comics, but I don't know. And I don't have an issue with that. I think it's fine, the way that she got her powers. I would have thought that explosion would have killed her, or at the very least given both of them powers, because they were both there at the same time. But, I mean, it is what it is. I thought that it was well played. I thought it was a good scene where she helps her mentor try to figure out this Lightspeed engine, and then she gets offed. she gets shot down by people who are after the same thing. I think that brings up another point of, like, if these Skrull actually were the good guys, and we actually were in a situation where these Skrull just wanted this technology, I mean, why wouldn't they just approach well, I guess okay. I was gonna say, I guess why wouldn't they just approach her with a proposition? Hey, we want your help. Um, and I guess the answer to that is that maybe they were afraid that she wouldn't help them because she is a Cree. Um, so they thought the only way to get it was to actually, shoot it down and take it. But maybe what they didn't know is that she actually was trying to build this to help them, to end the war, because Ronan was killing this race of people for no reason. So it's something I had to talk through for myself just now. So that was a point that I thought maybe was a plot hole, but it's not really, because I feel like they would not have asked her nicely. They would have had to do it in a way that's not necessarily, by consent, I guess. But yeah, so that's basically how I felt about Marvel, Captain Marvel, and man, I didn't know what to expect going in, and leaving the theater, I was like, I was going to film a video like later on that day, this video basically, and I knew that I would not be able to talk about the Marvel logo because I nearly bawled my eyes out just watching it. So it's interesting, because I'm an emotional person, I guess. I wouldn't say I'm sad or anything, but I definitely have some emotional range inside of me, and I just think that seeing that inspired me a little bit and made me feel, like they did him justice. They did Stan Lee justice. So I knew that I wouldn't be able to talk about it without basically crying. So I waited a couple days to film the video, and I wouldn't say I'm glad that I did, but I feel like I was able to get through it a little bit easier. But I'm really glad this movie came out, because I feel like it does give a good role model for girls to follow, and I really hope that there are women out there who saw this, and young girls who think, what, why am I chasing this guy? He's not even paying attention to me. I need to be more like Captain Marvel and just do my own thing. And I think that's the secret to success in anything that you do, is just do your own thing. Be who you are. And if you're supposed to have somebody in your life, you will. But forcing it is not going to help. So I'm really glad that they painted her up as a character that doesn't need a man. And I think that was cool. So hopefully the message is received by whoever needs it out there. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Definitely... if you agree with anything that I said, awesome. If you don't, that's totally okay. But let's have a respectful conversation in the comments below. If you have an idea as far as like what you'd like to see me cover next or talk about next, I'm more than willing to hear it, and I will probably use your idea, because right now, don't have a lot of subscribers. So if you have an idea, I will probably most definitely talk about it on the next episode. So hit me up in the comments below. Hit like, hit follow, hit subscribe. Catch me on Twitch for live episodes of video games and all kinds of fun stuff. Twitch.tv/L3LAYZE. I'm going to sign out, but I want to thank you guys for coming by once again. And of course, I'll catch you on the Flippity Flip.